now. But if you look at the final, for each step, right? Um, See, database saving, save the database to data, DB import, save the scripts to these things. So each step we direct you to save to certain predefined locations so we can go and look for them. But at the end, we do have instructions of the final. I'm trying to see, run step, run chip finishing, export. You see, even export, you have this data DBs. So this is DTMF. A chip DB is a final database under data DBs. Very well-defined location in your run directory. This is relative to your run directory and your script. But after the final database, you will have a directory called final, and you write the DB in it, and you also write the final reports, all the reports to DTMF star reports, right? So DTMF dot timing report, dot clock tree report, or whatever report you have. So put it everything under this predefined. And then you execute this report QOR with HTML format, and you put that resulting HTML in this final report, right? So this is the command, and then you will have things something like this with all the capture of the quality of results of all your different steps. And then you run report timing and save it to a predefined place. However, we'll have additional stuff that you will need to run, but we will we'll give you the script at a later date. And I guess now is a good time to announce a change in the schedule, right? I don't know if there's any other questions. Let me see. So I hope that answered your question, Nguyễn Nam Hải. And Vũ Quang Minh have some questions, Thiên and Bạch. Yeah.
Okay, so there's two questions. Number one, do we have to add filler cell up to 100%? Or could I leave some space left in my design? So if you have the row and blockages set up correctly, then when you add filler, it will fill up 100%. The reason that I can think of is that when you try to add filler and then it's only go up to like 99 point something %, that means there's some row that doesn't have any standard cell or filler in it, right? That means there's some blockages that potentially you added later on after you create your row, right? So so reality is it doesn't matter, right? So you have row that you block out. So when you run the percentage, the density check, you don't have 100%, but it's best to actually run split row again. So essentially, it's going to remove the extra row that you don't want any standard cell to be placed. And then rerun the density check, and then you're going to get 100%, right? So the bottom line is if you don't get 100% density after the add filler, review your floor plan and remove the row that have the placement locket on top of them, right? Just remove them, or as I said, just run that split row command, and this should remove those row for you.
Tian, do they know that command? Looks like that's a new command. I don't know that command.
Yeah, I think
Did
try
we teach
this.
them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably I forget to mention, but let me look at the syntax. But
I can answer the second part of Wang Wen's question. In the chip finishing step, I see no requirements about metal density. So do I have to use the command add metal fill? Yes, please do use that command. But like we talked about before, you don't have, if you have metal fill related errors, you can ignore them. So Tian, split row, just run that without any argument.
I think so.
Ah, okay, that's good. And you want to take the next
So I
question?
think that's
I can
related
take.
to the
Yeah. Yeah. So what the difference between export the design with step 11 and generate the final databases and reports? It's more like a renaming. So you can redo the export steps, but the export save the database to your local area. But the step 11 just regenerate the file, because the exports have a few different things in it. But the final database have the just a renaming of it, and also has the new location that is easier to find, starting with that final. But I think with the new way of grading, you probably don't have to do all those things anymore. But uh, uh, we will finalize the scripts this weekend, and next week, early next week, we'll tell you what command to run on your final results. With that, I think let me share the screen on the new schedule. So I understand that a few students are not here because they have exams, and that overlaps with this class, and obviously exams have to be uh, um, have to be higher priority for sure. So I understand that. So we're going to communicate all these changes in the schedule on Google Classroom, but let me explain. uh, so let me share the screen. Let me look for the file first. Okay, this is the current. Oh no, did I? No, I shared the wrong one. Okay, so this is a current schedule, where today we do reviews, office hours, and then we have the final project due end of this week. But due to various reasons, including the availability of all these machines for the student to run, and due to the result of all these polls that we conducted, a few students are behind, while a few very good students already completed the final project, including the optional steps. So, but more than half still behind in terms of just finishing, floor planning or in the middle of a project. So understanding it, all these various issues, and there are exams as well. So and then the original plan is to have the final in-person theory test end of next week, right, next Friday. But and then the certification and award celebration we plan for end of May. But due to the delay in the planning, so NIC and FPT are in the process of planning the celebration and all. But in addition to doing it for our class, they make it a very big event involving all the involving the government. I don't know who the high-ranking officers are going to be attending, and also involving collaborations with future companies in terms of newer classes in other areas such as analog and design verifications and also everything. So our end of year celebration awards and certification ceremony will be part of it. So so Tresemme doesn't have any control over that. So but we will not be able to do as we plan to do in terms of having the certification and award and celebration and at this time. So, but however, everything works out well because of the need. We identify the need to help the students learn more, and any difficulties that you have with the projects, we will try to accommodate and teach you more with the goal of the end. You know what you expected to do, so all the class objectives are met. And all while we have a very few bright students that will have no problem with this 519, but to achieve the objectives more for the entire class, we decide to make the following changes with the understanding that the brightest students, while they can finish by 19, they can use the remaining time to brush and to change, make changes, make improvement, and do other things, and they can submit the project in the new schedule. So the new schedule will look something like this. So the new schedule, we decided to postpone the project due for 1 week. Instead of 19, we're going to do end of next week, the 26th. Right? So today is the 17th. So we're going to continue reviewing this week and next week, helping all the students with questions. Some students are not even in routing or even CTS yet, so those students might need additional help. So we want to make available the reviews and all the the things that we need to do to help out, and including some server changes that I'm going to go over after this. But so next week we'll focus on more reviews and more project help, and then for the last week on Tuesday we have no class, so the student can have time to study for the final test. So the final test will be end of May, And the award, the certification award and celebrations will be sometime in June. And I see still finalizing the details with FPT and all the partners in Vietnam. So they working on a big project, and Tresemme is not part of it, so we have no idea. But we were told that sometime in June. So this leaves us sometime after the finals to grade and announce the results. But the result will be the certification and if any awards and celebration will be a part of the bigger event that NIC is organizing. So they will send a notification with details via email once everything is finalized, and we will share it on Google Classroom as well, so that and the idea is going to be the celebration will be in both in person and online, meaning that probably they remain to be seen what NIC and the organizing committee finally come up with, but it will be in person, and then with people attending remotely because of the location. Not everybody can fly to Hanoi, right? So we'll be most probably be a gathering in UIT and DUT, attending in person, but there will be live stream from Hanoi, so people from the US can also attend via the live stream as well. So those are the things that NIC is planning, and we'll wait for their details. So any question on the new schedule before we go in a little bit more details on what the future reviews and project help will look like? So we realized that some of the universities, their finals are in mid-June, we were told. So while this push is pushing toward that, overlapping with some other uh, exams in other schools, but the fact that we give you more time to study for the finals and more time to do the project can only help. So you can manage, right? So if you have finals close to the end here, you can study starting now, and then do less when it overlaps with your other classwork. So. Any question, any concern about this new schedule? All right, so the with this, the university can plan on getting the rooms ready for the in-person finals, and they are aware of this. So this in-person finals, just a reminder, is going to be open book, but in person. So that means you have to show up in class, and it's time based, and there will be some local some TAs that will run the exam just like any other exam. So okay, if there are no questions, I want to talk about the final project. So between now and then, last week we had a need for the teachers to bring up some database, right? And right now we cannot see go into each individual home user space. So Phương already working on a way for us. So the final projects, the database will be like we mentioned before, will be copied over via submission. Submission meaning you do an R copy, S copy of the entire final project database with predetermined, predefined directory structures and file locations and file naming to a folder where the instructors can have access to. But for you to that folder is only one way, and you can only just copy over, but you cannot read any other people's submission. But each submission will have a local directory for submission, and Phương is working on the detailed instructions. I was hoping he has it today, but he have some server problems, so he had to solve. So as soon as he has it, I'll share it in Google Classroom, and I think it's good that we share it early next week. So around here, and you still have the entire week to figure out what to do in order to submit uh, um, the project. But I'm hoping to have a way so that you all, if we have a problem so that the instructors need to bring up the database and move around, check around things to answer your questions, we want to be able to have it as soon as possible. So Phương is working on it, and hopefully you'll have it not before, if it's useful for later part of today's lecture, or at the minimum on Tuesday, we can have the ability for the instructors to bring up your database. Right. So that's it. Any other comments about Thiện, Vũ, and Dave?
I don't have any comment. So
Yeah, okay.
looks good to me.
Okay.
Same here.
All right. I guess now we can entertain more questions. And all the goal is to help. And if there are students that want to ask questions but cannot by some reason, TAs, please help. And before Phương can share, can have us the ability to copy the problematic database so that the instructors can work on it. TAs can bring it up on their machine and share the screen as needed, so we can help you solve any tough problems. But let's ask more questions.
So, Phil, so essentially, they have one extra week to work on the project, right?
Yeah.
So for those students that already finished, I think it's a good time to review what you already have and potentially make it even better if needed, right? So, and if you're totally happy with what you have, then you don't have to do anything, and then just wait for our instruction to how to submit it, right? So
Yeah, and also if they didn't do the two improvement options, like for speed and for area, right? They can do it as well. Yeah.
So you want to do the survey again, Phil, just to make sure everybody at least go through the floor planning step and CTS
Yeah,
step.
we can do that. Let's take 10 minutes to do the survey and go into 5-minute break. Okay. So I'm going to look for the survey, the poll, and start the poll again. Okay, let's do the poll. And also we have 5 minutes. So Dave, we can resume at 10:05.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anh thì có em đang bị sốt. Ờ.
All right, are we done? Okay. All right, so let me end the poll and share the results. Oh, okay. I think everybody see the results. Okay, so still 2 of you who are present here have not started. So that is a concern. Okay, so so at least everybody else complete the placement steps, and then okay, so so all the step 8 of you have completed. Thank you. Yeah, congratulations. 2 of you complete the frequency increase, and 1 complete the density maximization, and then none of you completed 2, both. So yeah. So I encourage that if you have extra time, in complete both for extra credits. All right. So I guess we still have 5 found very challenging, and yeah. So it's good that it has to be a little difficult. So that is good. So 5 very challenging. And 2 have not started. We are here to help you, so please bring your questions. If you cannot bring up your questions, ask other people to help you bring up questions. We want to help you, okay? Do you have questions? Yes, 21 have questions. If so, did you ask? And there are 3 did not ask. Please ask questions either here or the TA. So thank you TAs for answering 67% of the questions, and 12% still need more additional help. And I guess today we're providing those extra help. You have any question today for the instructor? So you have 25 on 8 of you will have questions, and still 2 prefer not to ask in class. Thank you. So it's an improvement from last week, but it's still a lot of people are not really there yet, right? So so only 8 out of 43 answers, so 20% have completed. So we have still 80% people that need more time, right? So yeah, let's thanks for giving us a picture, and I guess Thiên Anh, but so I see questions on related to increasing in the frequency, but I know you answer online, but might be good to verbalize it in case people didn't read them and they just got back. So you want to comment? But
Yeah, so in the input constraints, there is a the DTF-MF.SDC. So in there, you will find the 2 main clocks, which is V1 and V2. So remember, the design speed is determined by the main clock frequency, right? By the clock period. So you can see in there the statement create clock, the dash name, and then you see the period and the waveform, right? So the waveform always gonna it's gonna start here. You start low and go high, so it's gonna be 50% duty cycle. So if you change the you make it faster, which then you reduce the period. For example, if you want to go currently the period I believe is at 7 nanosecond, you want to change to 6 to make it faster by I guess that's about 15%. You can use a 6 and then change the waveform from 0 to 3.5 to 0 to 3. So it's 50% duty cycle. Likewise, you have the V2 also as a multiplier of that divided by 2 with the V1. So you always also change that and sync also to reduce the clock so that can work in sync. And then you also need to if you also need to update the input output delay, because the input delay and output delay are a percentage of the V clock, right? Some of the inputs and outputs actually synchronize to these two clocks. So if you reduce the period make faster, you also have to scale the input output delay that is synced to that clock also by the same amount. Otherwise, you only say otherwise your the timing, you have violation on your IOs, on your interface timing. Okay, so if you go down further down in the SBC, maybe I can just pull it up. You guys see my screen yet?
Nope. Okay, now it's coming up.
Okay, so you see the this has been changed, right? Changed from 8 to 7, right? So you can see how that scaled down. Right, I was talking about the waveform, the period. Okay, and you need to search also all the input output delay associated with the clock 1, clock 2. You also need to scale this input delay by the same amount. So if you do 10% increase in frequency, which is 10% decrease in delay, so you need to also reduce this delay by the same amount, same ratio. Okay. Let's see what else. That's really the two things that you need to change. There's output delay associated with it also. Okay. Any questions? How to
Yeah, go ahead.
any additional question? How to modify the constraint files to change the frequency?
And can
Yes,
you
but-
go over the other option where you increase the standard cell areas?
Oh, okay. On the okay. Let me do something. Yeah, let me get. I don't want to. So let me.
Or you can get back to it after you're ready.
No, it won't take me a second here.
Okay.
Let me reset and load up the other design. I don't want to see my floor plan.
I just want to make a comment. I think when you're done with the first run and you want to start with a new run, I think it's good to keep whatever you currently have, right? And then really create a new separate, run directory and restart the new run over there because you don't want to mess with what you already have, right? So whatever you try to do with the clock frequency, it's just a bonus, right? Think about that. So keep what you have first and just try to improve it somewhere else, right? In a separate directory. So
Yeah. So we debated whether or not you should submit your best design, but if you made a mistake in your increased speed design, then it's not fair to grade you with that. So it's best that you have your basic design and you be graded on that. And then if you have additional databases, then additional grading will be done separately on those two. So if you don't have clean DSC on the new one, you won't be deducted or whatever. So actual credits will be given for actual work, but keep your baseline submission so that everything is very clean and easy to grade. it's not easy to grade the actual credit one. So we'll give additional instructions of how you can submit the extra credit ones, after next week. Okay.
Yeah, you can call it run 1, run 2, run 3, whatever naming. Just run create parallel directory. Okay, so that was how to increase the design frequency speed. So here's how you reduce area. So this is the initial IDB, right? You just have the IO and the row created. So under floor plan specify, you can bring this up. You can do the let me move this over. Okay, so we pretty much want to easiest way to do it will be shrink the core area. Okay, so that would mean you would do the core to die boundary area, this area, right? So it's let's see. You can do this. I mean, there's several ways of doing this, right? Or you can do you can do dimension, right? It depends. So right now, this is the current size. If you do dimension, this is a width, this is the height. So you can, if you want to scale down by reduce by 10%, just scale it down by 10%. And remember, it's not going to snap exactly the number you want because of the grid. So it snaps to a certain number close to what you want. Sometimes it'll be right on it. Okay, so you can do that. You can do a number of ways. Quarter IO boundaries, all just different dimension. So there's multiple ways of doing it. It depends how you want to do it. Okay, so they all you do by core IO boundary, quarter die boundary, dimension width. Okay, so whichever thing you think is easiest, do that. But I would not want to do the aspect ratio or the utilization. Okay, you have less control over.
But I was thinking the IO rings and the die size is exactly the same. We
Yes.
just shrink, right? Yeah.
Just shrink the core. Easy way.
Yeah,
I mean,
shrink
this
the
is just
core.
exercise in reality because this design is IO limited, bound, meaning that
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how else you shrink this, the
Right.
dice, the chip is the same size, but for the
Right.
purpose of the core size, density, right, we just easy to shrink the core.
Yeah, so you already have the commands of create floor plan with this dimension being 100, right? So you can run the same command, but this go to be 130 or whatever numbers you might want, right? So effectively, you just shrink this thing, down by increasing the core to IO boundary. That's the easiest, and you keep the whole thing.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
can just change this 700 right here. All right, you can
Yeah.
type it here, do it if you wanted to.
Yeah, so see if it does what you want.
Yeah, so you can see a capture right here. It's shrunk, right? You can see what it does is it's create floor plan at margin, right? Core size 700 by 700. The same thing. That's the same thing. If you can cut and paste this, the same thing.
Right. So this one is now more than 100, right?
Yeah, I did core size by 700. I didn't do I did this dimension 700 by 700.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. I didn't do the coded boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so that's how you would do it. Okay, and then you would rerun your power stripes creation and so on, and your placement for the macros, the memories, and go through the rest of the step, push it through to see if you can close timing and also DRC, which is routing, right? So those are the two things. Any questions? Okay, I see I have one. I'm not clear about power consumption requirement in the design. Can you explain more about the power consumption? I think I don't think we have a specific number of power consumption, but you want to reduce power as much as you can. Right? We don't have a specific number requirements in terms of usually in a normal design, in a real design, they'll have a specific number of power requirements. Here we didn't have a hard number. So you can go through and run your power optimization steps and try to reduce the powers as much as you can. Also, the clock tree, right? Remember we talked about the clock tree. That's the consume about 60 to 70% of your design power because it's always active. So you need to go through and select your clock buffers and inverters carefully. We discussed in terms of the sizing and so on and how that impact your power.
Yeah. So I want to add to that, right? So you achieve all the goals, right? DRC clean, speed is met. Now you want to improve power. So this is normal industry flow, right? So if power consumption is important for your product, but speed you have to meet, right? But after that, what in addition to what Bud said, what impacts power? So we already covered all those different things that impact the power consumption, meaning leakage, dynamic, right? So things like, in addition to what Bud said, that your total standard cell areas, what you do to reduce the dice area here, the macros area already fixed. So you have smaller cell areas. That means you will have better power, right? Or you can uh, I don't want to. You just review what have uh, an impact on power. Then you go play with your design without messing up the timing. And at the end you do report power, and you can see we judge by total power only. So your total power, whatever you do, including some manual edits or whatever, change your target rise and fall time of signals, whatever you do, at the end you report timing is clean, report DRC is clean, and report power, your power number is better than your previous power. Then you accept that new database and try until you cannot improve anymore and submit it. And when we grade you, we'll see, we'll have all the criteria, and if everything is equivalent, the design that has less power will have better grade. Okay. So I see go ahead.
No, I was wondering if they have any further questions regarding the extra credits on minimize by reducing area, also increase speed. Okay, look like no
I
question.
think I saw a question by Ngô Quốc Thái that online on the Google Classroom. So I think while that question might be answered already, but I think it's a good question, and maybe we can cover for those can benefit other people. So but this question related to CTS optimization. I don't know if you online on Classroom, I can share it and you can address the question. I think it's good to go over. It's a very good question.
Okay, you go ahead and share. Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
on Google Classroom right now.
Okay. Let me see, screen number 3. You see in here, Ngô Quốc Thái asked, you can read.
Okay, I have encountered a problem after running CTS optimization and incremental. There are 6 regions, fence violations. Could you help me fix that? Does that problem matters in design?
And
Yes, so you have anytime you have a fence violation, you need to fix that. Okay. So you need to zoom into the DRC to see what it's complaining about exactly. That doesn't really show me anything. So click on the X in active design. You click on the X, it will tell you the violations, exactly what that is. Is But that doesn't seem to be a straightforward violation. I cannot.
I noticed that all the cells are spare cell. Is that right? The spare gate.
Okay, so you do an ISO place to fix this. Okay, so you do a ISO place. That's true. It should fix this issue. So
So place this cell dash ECO true. Okay.
well, actually it's called place ECO. Sorry, not ISO play. Place ECO. Yeah. So I remember I think it was related to yeah, so placement issue like this, you do a place ECO, it should take care of this. You can do on the entire design, or you can give it those 6 instant, put those 6 instant into a list, and then give it that one, the name of it, the instance, and then it should work on only those cells. Okay, so you do dash place _CO dash fix place instant true.
Yeah, can you type that command in? Oh, it looks like Ngô Chi Khiêm also say you can try place detail dash ECO true.
Yes, that's also the same command.
Okay. It looks like
Place details actually will take a lot on a bigger design. It'll take a lot longer. For such a small design, it make no difference here runtime. But on a large design, million of gate, this will take a lot longer to run. Okay. Yeah. So usually, what happened is if you have issue like there's an X on it, you click on it, it'll tell you, okay, is it complaining because overlap, because of the fence, it placing the fence, turn on your fence, and it's and so on. If you violate the rules, then if you do place ECO, it actually will fix those, unless the design is really congested, it can't move. But usually it should be able to fix those. Okay. In route step, in my design, there is always an antenna violation at the exact location that I try everything to fix, but the violation can't be resolved using Xylophone design or KVL. Does that mean I need to trace back to previous steps, or no? Usually you don't need to trace back to fix antenna. So is this like an open antenna or a real antenna? Right there's a dangling antenna, which is you can't fix unless you move that dangling segment. Okay. But the user antenna, the first thing the tool does by default will jump the layers, and then second, it'll insert diodes. So one of those two will usually solve the issue. So if you
Jen,
can't,
do we have an insert diode command that we teach them?
We unfortunately we don't have the diode in the library, so
okay.
Ngô Thanh Hào say I use a diode way.
Yeah, there's antenna cells.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you use it, where do you put it? You put it, it depends on where you put it also. You put it on the driver's side, that's not going to help. Okay, you have to put it near the gates, the fan out. Okay.
Ngô Thanh Hào, can you share the command that you use to insert this diode so everybody can know?
The command is, yeah, the set db a diode, right? And then you tell the diode name. So, and then you route. Then the router actually will do it.
Oh, you just specify the antenna diode name and the router will
Yeah,
understand.
so, right.
And you do a route ECO.
Yeah, a route part of, it does it during the route design, or once if you do it after, it's also route seal also should also
Okay.
follow it. I can get the
Oh, I see. So in the library that you have for the final project, you do have the antenna. So
it should. I remember seeing it.
Okay, so yeah, Ngô Thanh, how you don't need to go back and you can go forward without ECO after you set the diode, I guess.
Yeah, so fixed antenna usually is a concurrent process along the route when you enable it, when you turn it on, which you want to do it. The router will do as a last step during after it fixed the RC. And then you should see in the log file, you'll see, fixed antenna insert so many diodes on the log file. Okay. And then it does iteration until cleaning it up. But if there's some leftover, the tool can do it. You can go look at it, analyze it, and then perhaps manually drop diodes in there too. But the tool usually clean it all up. I mean, for such a small design like this tool shouldn't have an issue at all. Unless the models are not correct. But okay.
So before we have please ask more questions, otherwise you waste 30 minutes of invaluable time with the instructors.
I can go over. I can do quick reviews on placement CTS.
Okay, that's good.
Okay,
So let me address. I'm really concerned about two people who have not started yet, because that means that if we didn't postpone the project, you probably won't pass the class. That's a deep concern. So please send us private email, one of the instructors. Please reach out to us and explain your situation and see if you cannot share publicly, then share with us and see what we can do to help. So in Google Class, you can have you have a way to reach out to individual instructors. So please contact us. We don't know who you are, but please contact us. We don't want to, if you don't submit the project, you cannot pass, but that's not what we want. Okay, so please reach out to us. Go ahead, but yeah.
Okay, so let's quickly go over the key takeaway in placement. Okay, so once you come out of actually this is this is objective. So the objective of placement is, remember, to meet timing. So this is in placements where you first actually get to do timing optimization. Remember, in placement we only care about setup, right? Because we don't have a route yet, so we can't address the whole. So we are going to only do setup. Okay. So here the area and power also, and you want to minimize the congestion. So it's very important in this step that you make sure that you come out of placement that your designs have minimal congestion where you can fix it later, or none, preferably none, or okay. But if you have congestion, and then as you go further down the road, it's gonna get worse, right? You understand? You go to CTS, it's more cell being added to the clock tree, and then when you run hold time and post CTS, there's more cell being added. If you congest it here, that means it's going to be worse later on. So you want to resolve any congestion you have here through various methods, which we'll go over a bit later. Okay, and also you want to reduce density as much as possible. Also the DRV, remember the DRVs, these are max trend, max cap, max fan out. You have to meet these design rules, okay, so the manufacturing guarantee that your design work as intended. And so make sure the design is routable at this point. So remember congestions. we have hotspot and overflow. Okay, so sanity checks. So once you come out of floor plan, before you go do placement, you want to make sure that all your I/O, your pins, everything are proper in their location fixed. Okay, and also you make sure all your macro are placed and fixed. Okay, so remember that this is a picture of you. So make sure that these are placed and fixed so they don't get moved. And all your rows created, yeah, and make sure that your halo is correctly. Remember, some of you have the halo missing or not placed correctly, so you have these follow pins, which is we call follow pin the PG metal one kind of hanging out here. You end up having DRC issue. Okay, and then all your PG are short freeze or DRC freeze same. Okay, short freeze DRC. So here at this stage, you want to make sure that's clean, because it's much easier to fix it now versus when you have detail routes in there or clock routes and cells in there. So make sure it's clean this stage so that going forward you don't have to worry about it. Okay, because the router, the detail router will not touch the power PG, what's called a special route. It won't touch it. Okay, only the special route will do it. So once a PGI in, it pretty much stay intact. Okay, so you guys should know by now some of the command how to do a sanity check floor plans and things like that. Okay, and check DRC that check short only, so it'll check the PG shorts and DRC shorts on the PG, right? We want to make sure that's clean. Okay, so remember there was 3 different strategies that we talked about placement, right? There's timing, congestion, and power driven. So by default, in Innovus, it's going to be timing driven placement, and that's usually most people use that as the first options. Okay, because target timing, unless the design has some really congested, and then we might want to go to congestion placement, sacrifice timing. And power driven, if it is something like IoT that's power sensitive, run on battery, and you want to do the power driven placement strategy.
So this power placement, power driven can be used on the optional, if that is effective. We don't know, but this is one of the knobs you can turn.
Right. So remember we discussed this. So even those when you have time and driven, that's primary goal, the tool is still going to try to reduce congestion and this as a secondaries. Okay, but it mainly focus on the other on timing. Okay, that doesn't mean ignore everything else and it just blow up. No, it's still got, this is secondary goal. It's still going to keep that in mind.
Yeah, the important concept here is that op design with incremental, right? So you, because op design is a master command, like it has a ton of stuff that runs underneath. So when you so you run this op design or other commands. When you do optimization, the first command really do from everything from scratch, but you achieve certain goal. For example, you achieve timing. Now you want to do some additional optimizations, but you don't want to mess up timing. Then you change different strategies, set DB different things for the tool to focus on different thing, and you run incremental or ECO. Those are key options. You don't want to run the whole full master command that will restart everything from scratch. So you will be in the loop, and you redo what you already gained, right? So
yeah, so here's a little bit of along the line what Phil's talked about. So a little more advanced, more details. So let's say you on the design, you ran a first loop through and you meet your timing, right? And now you want to go and you want to see if you can reduce your recover area. Basically, that's going to help you congestions and power and everything else. So you meet your timing, okay, and then you go and you run an op on that area. So it's going to basically go in and where it will not just touch your critical path. It will see where there are a lot of slack. Okay, so for example, if it's using low VT cell. And then we talk about low VT cell, which is bigger and faster, right? And where it's not critical path, then it can substitute that out, swap it out for high VT cells, right? High VT cell is slower, but smaller and consume less power and less leakage, right? You'll swap those out on a non-critical path. Therefore, your design will get smaller and less congested and less power. So you can do that same thing to those loops. Okay, just as an incremental runs.
Yeah, a lot of slacks mean that the path is low and your data path is faster than needed. So then to make it slower and still meet timing, you can make it smaller and still can meet timing by reducing the cell drive strength or using higher VT cells, which will improve your power. Right?
Right. Yep. Or it can remove buffers, extra buffers, and inverters and things like that. So there's all those strategies that was employed, right? We talk about, so we can reverse those. Okay, so the other important thing is I hope you guys remember how to do path groups, right? By default, you're only going to get these, right? And the tools you work on those. So if you have timing issue in the ICGs or meant to rest, you wouldn't know at all. Okay, it's hard to debug. So you want to set up the timing path to have the guided tools also help you in debugging. Okay, so it's just more granularity in terms of how where are the issues if you have issue, right? These are the timing groups. And then you can also set, with the timing group, you can set priority. Let's say rest is the highest priority, right? You want to put high, and you can lower priority for others area input output. Okay, and since these are much easier to meet, so you want the tool to focus or spend more time on harder path, like rest, meant to rest, and so on. So these you can change these. So so after the first run, you can see, okay, maybe all met, and then my meant to rest is still problematic. You turn that to high and turn everything else to low, so that the tool focus on the problems path groups.
So the slide labeled pre-CTS timing, can these same strategy be applied for post-CTS and during route optimization?
Once you set your group, it'll stay static until you change it. Okay, so as soon as you put this in your design, you set these, unless you go and you reset both of these and it will go away, but it'll stay throughout, and then you can update the options after here. It applies from placement all the way to post route.
So say during the route optimization step, the students do a report timing and the violations are different than the pre-CTS. Is that a good idea to redefine some of the path groups to have high effort on the paths that the route optimization is having difficulties?
Yeah, absolutely. This is what it's for, right? You can change the options and move the focus on where the problem area is, right? So absolutely.
Yeah. So this is if you didn't know, these are especially when you increase the speed, right? You can play with all these options in your route optimization and incrementally fix the issues, right? So.
Okay, so and remember, when you start timing up, right? Remember how we talk about you must choose the okay, for in placement, you got to do you got to fix that up, and that you have to make sure it's on the max delay when you the MMC is already set for you, okay, but you haven't set. And also you got to set up analysis type. We discussed what OCD is and so on, right? So you make sure you set all those. And also I think there was an option to come up, a question come up, design process. You need to set that, okay? By default, Believe Universe is set at I believe it's at 90 nanometers. I believe our project is at 180, so you got to change that so that the capacity and all the factor internal will set correctly so that your timing is aligned with the rest of the class at 180. Okay, if you don't change that, your timing may look good, but when we time it 180, then it may be completely different. So make sure that the process is 180 for your project. Okay.
Yeah, I want to add to that just for understanding. So this design process notes when you run Innoverse, right? The tool has its own extraction and engine RC extraction, but for each RC extraction, it has some filtering, and filtering depending on the process node, the different filtering of the capacitance and resistance values change. And if you don't set it correctly, two things gonna happen. One is that like Bud was saying, your timing would not look realistic, and two, when you run the actual sign off timing, if it is not consistent with the process, then you will have uh, miscorrelation, meaning that in your Innoverse, you say you meet timing, but when you run Tempest for timing sign off, you have violations, gross violations, because of the process node is set incorrectly. Therefore, the capacitances are filtered and used incorrectly in Innoverse. So.
Yeah, I don't think we discussed sign up timing. So so anyway, this PD in Innoverse, what we call an implementation tool, where we're building things. So Innoverse will give set a timing, but there are STA tool like Tempest or PrimeTime. PrimeTime is really the industry standards. So most of the company use that to sign off because it's more closely correlate to silicon and spice. So that's your final, even Innoverse clean, but if you run PrimeTime or Tempest, if it says not clean, whatever your sign up timing may be, then you still have to go back and fix your timing, run an ESO timing to fix it. Okay. So that's more an advanced topic, but that's what Phil was talking about. Okay, congestions, right? Congestion is important, so make sure that this is within the range here, so that your design is routable after placement. Okay. I believe our design, the default size is it shouldn't have. I mean, if you do your floor plan correctly in macro, you shouldn't have congestions. If you start squeezing it, you'll start see congestions. Okay, it's make sure that your standard area is as square as possible. No hot pocket and things like that. Okay, I think we talk about cost congestion and how to resolve them, right? High pin counts and poor planning and so on, right? So you can use various placement blockages to try to move to congestion, reduce your congestion, right? Hard, soft, and partial. And halo, remember that halo, your memory. And then the other way is you have poor floor plan, then you make sure that you give us avoid these small pockets, right? Make it your standard cell area as square as possible, as open as possible. So you look at the project, there's 4 memories, right? 4 macros. So there are only about 2 ways that you can achieve this. I think most of you guys probably figure that out. Okay, so summary for qualified placement. Make sure there's no or minor timing violation. You can have minor, meaning within 5% or so. Then that way, on setup, CTS, when the clock tree is in, you should be able to fix those minor timing violations. Okay, DOB should be clean except on ClockNet. So if you run Tech DRC, the only thing you should see is the ClockNets have DRV. Okay, because they're ClockNets, but it hasn't been buffer up, so they'll have some max random issue, max cap. Okay, all cells should be legal in place. Okay, no overlap or unplaced cells. So you run a check floor plan, it will tell you. Okay. Router design meet power. So that's your go out of placement. Okay, that's is the review for placement. Any comment, questions, or inputs?
I think there's a question in the chat.
Okay, so Lady and ask, when I use check connectivity after placement, after place optimized step, unpin connect violation exists. What is unpin connection? How can I fix that? Okay, so it depends on where it is. So you should all the nets that is specify the netless connectivity should be all connected. Okay. If you have unconnected net, it'll show up, but this is unconnected pin. So depending on where it is, we need to look at it. So it's very specific. So we have to look at case by case and to see it's what it's saying and the physical locations and so on. Okay.
And
Any-
sometimes, but if there are outputs that are not connected, then will that pop up?
I have never seen a unconnected floating output will have this.
Okay.
Taeyong, have you seen it?
Usually it's gonna come out as a net, right? So if a net is about to connect between like 3 different pins, and currently it's only connect 2 out of 3, then it's gonna say, you know, one is not connected, or the part of the net is not complete, right? So
So this one say so it's not up, right? It's right? UN.
I think it should be
Uncon
unconnect
pin,
pin.
right?
Yeah, it's not
So
up. It should be
uncon
uncon
pin,
pin. Yeah.
right? So it implies that the pin doesn't have a connection. So and I know that there are cells that have outputs that are not connected, like Q
Right,
bar,
so-
right? Sometimes, yeah.
So that can be one of them. So if a design with a standard set with five pins, only have 3 being used and the other one leave floating, then you can have this type. This is one of the violation. But in that's the case, you know that pin, if it's the input pins, then you want to fix it. You want to actually ground that one. Otherwise, it'll be floating ping bang for will cause the output to change and also leakage an issue, right? So
But I just noticed that he mentioned this is after place, right? So after place, essentially you don't have signal route connectivity yet. So certainly you don't want to run check connectivity at this, you know,
after placement.
without option,
yeah,
right?
yeah. After placement,
So
you don't have anything to check, correct?
yeah.
Yes. So check.
So you want to do that after route, not after
Exactly.
place. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for catching that, I didn't.
Yeah, so that answered Lady Ann's question. Dương Đại Gia has another one.
How do I set minimum spacing to solve parallel run link spacing in the routing step? Okay.
No, you don't set the minimum spacing. You fixing it by look at the area and then move the Y, further apart, right? You don't want to fix the. I think what he mean is how to fix the area, right? Because the minimum spacing is in your library. You don't want to touch your library, right? So whatever the number is, you need to essentially the minimum spacing had to
So yeah, so
to be
look
the
like this
same,
rule.
right? So
Yeah. So look like this rule. You have 2 wires that running parallel for a long way, and basically you violate that rule. So you just have to know what the link and just move one segment away further apart.
So ideally, the tool should have no problem fixing it, right? So if it does have problem, then means that it run out of resources. So it might be related to your local area being too congested or too narrow that it has no way of routing through it. So you can move your fixed structure away and give that area more routing resources.
So you can get to you can do this, okay? Don't have to fix it manually. You just do a route underscore, I believe route underscore C. So that's fix DRC, and it'll run an incremental target just fixing DRC. But before this, you need to run you need to run verify DRC to make sure the markers is marked, and then the tool will focus on the DRC.
But if you have a chimney that there's no resources, you need to address that too.
Right. If you run it a couple of times and it's not fixing it, then you have a resource issue. Okay, then
Right.
you need to go in there and perhaps manual fix or you need manual intervention at that time.
And make sure the spacing is not on the special route, right? So if the spacing is on the special route, you have to fix it manually, right? So
Yes. So what Ting talk about special route is the powers and also the clock nets. Those are the clock nets are usually are fixed. Okay, once it's routed, so the router won't touch those. You have to set an attribute to tell the routers to go. Usually you don't want to touch the clock nets because if you touch the clock nets, it mess up your timing. Okay, because the clock net drive a lot of flops, and if that one segment of it change the timing, all the flop downstream could get impact. So you don't want to touch a clock net. That's your last resort. You want to touch all the signal nets you want, and okay.
I think in one of the database that we use for the lecture or the lab has this exact spacing, right? So that's a VSS and VDD pair running on the right side of the die.
Mhm.
Yeah, it has that, and I think I show in class how you can actually move them. You know, essentially you just select one of the net and use that floor plan, a toolbox, and just move them by left or right by 2 micron, and that should fix it.
Yeah, just move that particular offender. Don't rerun everything, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so in the real world, where we work with, I mean, millions of transistor or million of gates. Okay, so we go to we let the tool, we drive the tool to get the achieve the best that it can, and whatever's left, we the very last, and we go and fix it by hand, manually, at the very end. Okay, so we try to avoid not to fix anything by hand unless at the very end, and we go in and fix it manually so that the tool doesn't mess it up. Okay, so
All right. Yeah. Looks like we have 2 minutes. I want to ask one more question. Do you have enough machine to run your labs? If not, then please put in the chat. We can talk to Phương. But at this time, you should have plenty of lab resources, cloud, that whenever you need it, you will have the machine. But you need to plan ahead. Because Phương cannot just be there and turn something on when you need it, but work with your TA and say, all these time that you plan to spend on the project, then Phương will have all the machines for you. So you should not be limited by the machines at this point. So again, if you do, then please put in a chat or put on Google Classroom.
Okay, so yeah, so keep it coming, guys. Just continue your projects, and question come up, just ping us.
Yeah, so even if you have done it, please show up in the class, because we hope to go over different stuff, either solve your problems or review more like Bart did today. with the purpose of having you gain as much knowledge as possible. So thank you for attending today.
All right, Ting, you have the last word.
Yep.
No, I don't have nothing to add. So I think the student did great asking a lot of questions. So
Yeah, I'm glad the question kept coming because I was concerned that there were no questions. So it's good. Keep work on it and be curious and look at different things. So we'll see you next week. Have a good weekend, everyone.
all right, thank you. All right,
Bye.
bye bye.